you're like most people and you're really ambitious and you want to start a company, you probably have no idea where to start. I know that I had absolutely no idea how to begin my journey with Forecastr. My first instinct, as soon as I had the idea to create a software about financial modeling, was to start raising money right away, start hiring developers, start building the software immediately without validating any pain points or anything like that. It would have been a complete and total disaster. And if it hadn't been for my co-founder, Steven, that is probably the path that I would have gone down. And for all I know, Forecastr could have failed before it even got started. I see founders making this mistake all the time. It's a super common mistake, and it just highlights the fact that there's a lot of uncertainty and there's this lack of information on best processes for starting a business. And whenever you really boil it down to its elements, starting a business can be incredibly simple and really, really straightforward. So I've created a 5-step framework that is the simplest, most boiled down way that I can explain how to start a business. I want to go over that framework in today's video. So we're going to jump right into the content and get started. Step 1 is find something that annoys you, right? So some of the best entrepreneurs, they just go through life and they look for things that they wish could be better. And you've probably said 100 times or 1,000 times in your life, somebody should do something about this. Somebody should build a software that does this. Or maybe I did something or saw something that annoyed me that I think could be fixed by either software or a product or something. And usually the best entrepreneurs are people that just go through life looking for ways to make their own lives better. They pick their favorite ideas and then they act on those ideas. So step 1 is just be really, really observant about things in the world that annoy you. And I think you'll be really surprised by how many things you actually find, like small things. These don't have to be groundbreaking things. They could be really, really small micro pain points that probably a lot of people tend to experience. So just go through life looking for things that annoy you. And whenever you find something that annoys you, jot it down on a list and just try to I would encourage you, even for the next week, just everything that you see that you think you could make better or something that just generally annoyed you, jot it down on a list and then go back and review that list at the end of the week. So step 1, super simple, just be super observant and find things out in the world, just general things that annoy you. Step 2, after you have that list of everything that you have observed that annoys you, you want to find others that are annoyed by the same things. So let's say you go through step 1, you've got this big list of things that just generally you've seen out in the world as you're living your day-to-day life that come across to you as annoying, right? Go and talk to other people, talk to your friends, your family, whoever, anybody that you're socializing with, and see if you can find some commonalities in that and see if other people are annoyed by the same thing, right? So like one example of this could be, I want to go walk my dog, but I don't have time to go walk my dog. My dog wants to be walked. She's begging to go outside, but I'm too busy with meetings. So that is something that is, I wouldn't say necessarily annoying, but it's a pain point, certainly for me. I want my dog to go be walked. So if I talk to a bunch of friends and I'm like, you know what? My dog seems like she always wants to be walked. I never have time to walk her. Do you experience that same thing? Does that annoy you? Is that a pain point for you as well? Like those small type of interactions like that helps you understand how many other people resonate with something that you found in step 1 that annoy you, right? Or that are a pain point in your life. However you want to define that. It's either a pain point or annoying or whatever, however you want to define it. You want to talk to folks and see, like, are other people annoyed by that as well? So get a big group of people, try to find other people that are annoyed by the same thing. That's kind of early validation that there may be a problem here, that if a small group of people that you're interacting with, they're all experiencing the same problem, I assume a lot more people are experiencing that problem as well. Which brings me to step number 3, which is where you're going to craft what I call a minimum viable solution to that problem. Now, notice I didn't say minimum viable product. I didn't say go build software to solve that problem. I said minimum viable solution to that product, right? So for the example that I gave earlier where I didn't have time to walk my dog, a minimum viable solution might be go find a neighborhood kid, see if they will walk my dog for me if I pay them an hourly rate or something like that. Once you've kind of solved this pain point for yourself, what you want to do is you want to try to solve that pain point for others and see if they'll pay for it. So you might go to your friends that were annoyed by the same problem and say, hey, look, I'm paying this person to do this thing for me. It solved this pain for me. Would you like for me to send them over to you? And then you can pay me. And essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to see if people will buy the minimum viable solution for your pain, right? Some people, they're just annoyed by things or they have these pain points in their life, but the pain is not so severe that they will actually open up their wallets and pay for it. So if you can craft a minimum viable solution and then try to sell it to other people and see, are they going to open their wallets and actually pay for this thing? That is a huge validation point. Now, a note here is that this does not have to be scalable. Right? So notice in my example, my solution was a neighborhood kid coming to walk my dog, right? I can't have that neighborhood kid go walk everybody in America's dogs. That is not a scalable solution. What you're trying to do is get a little bit of early data, a little bit of early traction, and just see, would somebody pay to have this problem eradicated from their life? By whatever means necessary, even if it's you doing the work to solve the problem, it doesn't matter. You're just trying to see, will somebody actually pay to have this problem solved, and see if you can replicate that more than one time. So you're going to want to just try to find people that will pay for your minimum viable solution, whatever that is, regardless of how unscalable it is. Will they pay for it? Which brings me to step 4, which is, now that you've got some validation, you've identified a pain point, you've crafted a minimum viable solution to address this pain point, and you've got actual customers that are paying to have that pain point solved. Now you have enough traction and enough of a narrative to actually go and raise a round of funding. So let's say that you've crafted your minimum viable solution. You've got 10, 15, 20, maybe even like 100 people that are paying for your minimum viable solution. Well, now you've got real customers, you've got real revenue, you've got validation that this is something that you can sell to a group of people. That is enough to pitch to an investor and see if they'd be interested in investing for you to solve this problem en masse. And this is where a lot of founders tend to mess up, is that they try to go and raise funds whenever they have just an idea. They have no traction, they have no customers, they don't even know if they'll be able to sell a solution to the product. If you go through this framework, then you're going to have real life validation and real customers in the real world that you can point to and say, look, if I've already gotten 10 customers, 20 customers just in my local small network to pay for this, imagine what I can do whenever I take this global. Whenever I go and build something very scalable, there's this many people that would pay for it, and they could translate into this big of an opportunity. Now, this is where storytelling becomes super important. You want to be able to tell the story, how you're going to make this a very big business and how you're going to bring this to masses. And this is where a pitch deck comes into handy, a financial model comes into handy. This is just how you're going to be telling that story. So raise funds based off the traction that you have cultivated in steps 1 through 3, which brings me to step 5, which is where you're going to turn your minimum viable solution that you crafted in step 3 into software. So going back to my previous example where I'm talking about walking the dog, my minimum viable solution was just to use my network to find maybe a neighborhood kid to walk my dog for me and then sell that service to other folks and get some customers and some traction. So how do I replicate that en masse? Well, maybe I could create an app that's a marketplace for people that want to walk dogs with people that need their dogs walked, right? And there's an actual app that exists for this, is WAG, right? There's a couple of other apps that are like this, but what you're doing is you're trying to take something very unscalable and just solving a problem, and then you use that to raise funds, and then you create the scalable solution that uses software, and you can really start to build out a revenue model based off of that. And now, because you have technology, you have something that is really big and something that you can really scale on for a long period of time. So there you have it. Super simple, super quick, 5-step framework. Don't over-engineer it. Don't overthink it. It can be something very, very basic like this, where you just find a pain point that you have in your life, find others with the same pain point, try to solve it using unscalable means, raise money using the traction that you've done, raising the traction that you've created by trying to solve the problem in a very unscalable way, to then go and solve that problem in a very scalable way. It can be that simple. So hopefully you found today's content useful. I would appreciate it if you would leave any comments below if you have any questions or any thoughts of your own on the matter to make the content more valuable so that we can all learn from each other. Thanks for watching.